Hey guys, Steven here, aka Mr. Ste-J, and in today's video I'm reviewing Almost Famous! Almost Famous was released in the year 2000 and tells the story of a young music-obsessed journalist on tour with a rock and roll band across America in the 70s. The film was written and directed by Cameron Crowe, and it's sort of semi-autobiographical as it's based on some of the experiences he had whilst working as a music journalist. In his youth he was working with Rolling Stone magazine and toured with the likes of the Eagles, Led Zeppelin and Lynyrd Skynyrd. Pretty good youth. Interestingly, the film is now being turned into a stage show musical based on the screenplay almost 20 years after it was released. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, but if it goes with all the music that's used in the film, then that's more of my cup of tea, let's just say. Anyway, let's take a close look at the story. The story begins in San Diego in 1969, where we're introduced to the Miller family. William, played by 11-year-old Michael Angarano, his sister Anita, played by Zooey Deschanel, and their slightly overbearing mother Elaine, played by Frances McDormand. William is a bit miffed as he's just found out he skipped 5th grade, as his mother has had him believe he is actually 12, not his actual age of 11. As Anita leaves home to pursue a career as a stewardess, she tells William to look under his bed as it'll set him free. No, it's not drugs. She's left him some vinyl records, including albums from the Beach Boys, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin and The Who, the latter of which includes a request to listen with a candle burning to see his future. William does so, and we never get to see any of the other messages in any of the other albums, if there are any. And that really bums me out. Anyway, flash forward and it's 1973. William, a little older, now played by Patrick Fugit, inspired by all the awesome albums left to him, is now a budding music journalist. After sending out articles from his school newspaper, he manages to grab a meeting with rock writer of Cream magazine, Lester Bangs, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's impressed with his work and sets him out on a task to write 1,000 words on a Black Sabbath show. However, he repeatedly fails to get backstage access to the show, even after being coached by the Band-Aids, definitely not groupies, led by Penny Lane, played by Kate Hudson. 10 points where you know where the inspiration for the name came from. Almost at a loss, William manages to get in with the band Stillwater after impressing them with his passion for their music. You think that's impressive? Try telling me how much you love my music and see what I'll do for it. Not that. William befriends both the band and the Band-Aids, leading him to be invited to follow on with their tour. However, now with a daunting new task of writing an article for Rolling Stone magazine. Gulp. They do it in a really nice tour van though, and back in the day we had something similar. Well, it was a school bus with a squirrel on it. It was awesome. It's on the tour that William, now dubbed the Enemy, becomes the unlikeliest of shoulders to lean on, as we see the tensions, basically egos, rise between the two main band members, frontman Jeff, played by Jason Lee, and guitarist Russell, played by Billy Crudup. All this whilst the complicated relationship between Penny Lane and Russell plays out, as well as William struggling both with his coming of age feelings and his need to finish that story. Any good? Along with his mum worryingly calling him throughout the film, which is actually quite funny, William, the band and the Band-Aids are pretty much a new family all thrown together. I suppose it's easy to see Russell as a kind of father figure or maybe big brother figure for William, but I also see Penny Lane as sort of a big sister, which is weird to think about as William obviously has feelings for her, but she does kind of have that rebellious attitude his sister had. Anyway, I just think these family dynamics give the film a real beating heart.
So I'll see you guys in Topeka, okay?
The film is pretty funny too. I found the constant back and forth between William and the Rolling Stone editor quite hilarious, especially with the mock older voice William has to put on so they don't get onto the fact that he's just a kid. I also love the dated technology reference of them being made up. That single page only takes 18 minutes down the phone line.
18 minutes a page.
There's also a scene near the end where William and the band are on a plane which they think is about to crash. Everyone starts spitting out their real feelings toward each other, good or bad. It's compelling stuff. It's still funny though, and totally how a family would let loose after a few drinks. But it also reminds me of that Father Ted episode where all the priests are on a plane. One other thing I'd like to mention is the character played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, Lester Bangs. I was a big Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I really think he seems to shine in these smaller roles. I love the parts he played in The Big Lebowski and Magnolia, but it's the character in this film which is probably my favourite. I think it's obviously because he's a music writer and all that. I think that character always stuck with me. I loved his passion, and although quite cynical, he offered great guidance.
Honest and unmerciful.
Any bad? It does have a running time of just under 2 hours, but because it drags a bit in the middle, it does feel much longer. I suppose it's because it's more drama based than action, obviously, so nothing extraordinary happens in the film to split the middle weight of it up. There are a couple of scenes I suppose haven't aged that well, one being William losing his virginity. He's 15 and the Band-Aid girls decide to deflower him. I'll be interested to see if that makes the stage show version. Another scene I'll mention is where William goes to see a very seemingly drunk Penny Lane, who is obviously upset about Russell. As she passes out in his arms, he goes to kiss her and says, "I'm about to boldly go where many men have gone before." Now, it is possible to think that he thinks she's still awake, but he's taking total control and advantage, and he even mentions that she won't remember any of this. Ooh. Music? There's no surprise that music takes a huge role in this film. It's constantly playing throughout, and there are some amazing artists on the soundtrack. You've got the likes of David Bowie, Simon and Garfunkel, Black Sabbath, Joni Mitchell, the list goes on. Just to point out a great musical moment in the film, there's a part after a pretty traumatic event where the band comes together on a tour bus, joining in to sing Elton John's Tiny Dancer. It's a really joyous moment, and to be honest, I think that's the first time I properly noticed that song. You know, sometimes songs have to hit you at the right moment in your life for you to appreciate them, and I think that was one of those moments. Release-wise, the 17-track original compilation is available on streaming services, and you can pick up the CD pretty easily on the likes of Amazon or eBay. The vinyl edition, however, is a little harder to find as it was produced in limited numbers, so it was a little pricey if you do manage to come across it. Fingers crossed they do reissue it, and as it's the 20th anniversary next year, it'd be a pretty perfect time to do so. That also seems to be the only way to get hold of all of the Stillwater tracks, apart from Fever Dog, which is on this soundtrack. Conclusions. To wrap this up then, I'll just say this. Almost Famous is a road movie with a heart, a great soundtrack, and characters that will stay with you. If that sounds like your cup of tea, then maybe give it a watch. Anyway, let me know what you want me to watch next, and I'll see you next time in another video.